What is going on, everybody? Welcome over here to the channel. Today we kick it off with episode 33 of the Montana Cattle Ranch series. So sit back, relax, smash that like button, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget we are doing a giveaway, information in the description below. Let's get right into this. So today we kick it off on March 1st over here on the Cattle Ranch series, and I've been running around with a chicken with my head cut off this whole winter. Um, it has been so much back and forth on feeding the animals and just taking care of everything. Like, it's kind of been a hassle, not gonna lie. Uh, we've ran through a ton of our TMR. We're still stocked up pretty good, but we've ran through a lot of it. We've ran through a lot of hay. Like, it's we've had a lot of resources go out over the winter. However, we have got quite a bit of goods ready to be sold. And before I get into it really quick, I want to kind of run over here. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with all our excess milk. So I've got 89,000 liters of milk still left in our storage tank. We've got over 100,000 liters in this dairy, and I think we have quite a bit in our production down at the co-op. So I'm kind of just thinking where I could go ahead and put in another dairy, or just trying to think what I should do with it, because I'm starting to have an access or a ton of extra milk left over, and I kind of got to figure out what we got to do with it. But I did go ahead and I've already started, well, I've emptied out our manure pits, and I've went ahead and emptied out our slurry pits as well. So let me go ahead and dump the rest of this slurry. Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was still going. But I've already kind of put it over into our BGA. So let me go ahead and activate these, get these rolling. But we ended up with like 327,000 liters of manure and almost just as much slurry, if not as much. But we have got a bunch of back and forth running to do today. Our corn that we dried out after last season, most of it is done. So I went ahead and I loaded that up into our Super Bee, and I've got some extra corn in there too. So we've got to run that down to the Jack Daniel's distillery, and then on top of it, we've got to go pick up our beer to sell, and then all our stuff sitting in the production down at the co-op. So let me go ahead. I'm going to run this trailer to the co-op. We're going to do our sell-off and drop our wool off. And then I'm going to go ahead and take our Super Bee to the Jack Daniel's distillery. And I'm going to try to get a worker to follow me in this truck and trailer, and hopefully be able to pick up our beer to sell off. So, oh no! Well, we are just a little bit overloaded. I figured this truck could handle the weight, which it can going on a straightaway, but apparently turns are a little difficult for it. But let's go ahead and make it down to the co-op. We're going to sell all this stuff off and drop it off and see where our funds are sitting at, and then go from there. Alright, so we were able to get all our wool unloaded here, and that went a little easier than I expected. I figured this trailer was just going to explode with all our goods as soon as I undid the straps, but they stayed intact pretty well. I was very, very skeptical on that. But before I pick up our cheese and I pick up our fabric, I want to go ahead and sell off all these eggs and the mozzarella cheese. And That way we have an empty trailer, because I got a feeling the amount of cheese we have over in our production is going to fill this trailer back up. Between that and the fabric, it should fill it all the way up. Oh wow. So 504,000 plus an additional 28,000 from the environmental score. That was a beautiful payday just off the mozzarella. I am very impressed with that. So let me go ahead and get all our cheese loaded up, and we'll see what we get from that. So we ended up with 51,000 liters of cheese throughout that winter months, and I can't complain about that. I figured it was going to be close to filling this trailer up, and we almost did. So I'm going to have to do the fabric separate, but not a big deal. But let's go ahead and see what we get off of this. An additional 173,000 plus, we'll call it 10,000 in the environmental score. And we're up to 1.1 mil. Very good. So let me go ahead and get this fabric, and we'll check what we get from that sell-off as well. Well, not quite a full trailer, but this fabric's going to bring in a nice payday on its own. I think they go for about 9,000 every 1,000 liters. And we've got almost 32,000 liters of fabric. It's so weird calling fabric liters. 289,000 plus an additional 16. Let's go. So I'm going to make my way down to the Yingling factory. I think I'm going to have to do this in 2 separate steps. We're going to have to sell off the beer, and then I'm going to have to drive our Super Bee and go ahead and get our Jack Daniel's distillery fired up. Finally. At least this time we have the right ingredients. So I will see you as soon as we get over there. Alright, so we made it over here to the Yingling factory. Let me go ahead and get all this loaded up and see what we've got. Oh, wow. We've got 52,000 liters of beer, but we have a problem. It has literally picked up the front end of our truck. Is there a way? There is a way to raise my hitch, but I don't know. It did help. Okay. That worked out. I thought we weren't going to get out of here. Now, one issue I'm running into is with our Super Bee trying to get into the Jack Daniel's factory. It is such a tight squeeze trying to drive that trailer around. Now, what I've kind of considered doing... Oh! Take it easy. Take it easy. We got a heavy load here. One thing that I've kind of thought of doing, possibly, is picking up another trailer that we can use to bring barley and corn down to that factory. Because otherwise it's... Oh, we're not stopping. We're not stopping. Come on. Oh, it's so hard to turn. Just because it's so hard to get that Super Bee in. And this is turning into an impossible venture here. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh. We don't have far to go. There we go. Just keep the tires on the ground and we're good. We got this. Alright, let us see what we get for all our beer. Another 151,000 plus 8,500 for the environmental score. Hey, we will take that. And if we look at our current value, we're sitting on 1.6 mil. Now, if we look at our loan, we owe 1.7 mil. So we can almost wipe out our debt. Actually, once all our manure and slurry is ran through, we could wipe that out completely right now. But I'm on the fence. Do we repay it all back? I'm going to go ahead and repay a bunch back right off the get-go and kind of see where we're sitting with still a nice chunk of money in our pocket. So, after all that clicking, oh, looks like our manure just sold off from the BGA, and we're back up to 535,000. Do I do it? Do I pay it all off? You know, let's take it down to a quarter mil. I think a quarter mil is. You know what? Let's just do 200K. Even if we paid it all off, we would still have $45,000 to our name. We still have the dairy going. Let me do a quick check here. Do we still have anything to sell off in our BGA? It looks like yes, we do. We still have 203,000 liters of slurry, plus 170,000 liters of manure to go through. That should leave us with a nice payday. We won't be completely broke. You know what? I'm doing it. We are officially going to be out of debt. Like 100% out of debt. We don't have a loan. And now we can really start growing the farm or growing the ranch. We'll be able to use all our funds to really expand. I'm excited. I'm excited for this. So we made it out of debt, what, in little less than 4 years? Very good. So I'm going to go ahead and head back to the ranch. We're going to go ahead and pick up our Super Bee and run that back. And now we can finally get our whiskey going. So I will see you once we arrive back at the Jack Daniel's factory. Alright, so we made it back over here to the Jack Daniel's factory. We've got 55,000 liters of dry corn, and we went ahead and put 20,000 liters of regular corn in here. And if you recall, we've already brought some barley and some other corn over here. So we should be ready to fire this thing up. Now the hard part is going to be trying to get out of here. It is a very, very, very tight fit. Which one are we unloading here? Okay, we are unloading the front one. Good. Let me go ahead and just take the cover off so that way I can kind of see as we go here. Alright, that one's empty. Yeah, I definitely think I'm going to pick up a new trailer. And look at that, we had another sell-off of our slurry and manure, and we're back up to $239,000, even after paying off all our debt. How awesome is that? I didn't think we would have been out of debt as quick as we are, but hey, I'm here for it. That is awesome. Let's do the front one first here. I wish that when they designed this, they would have gave us a little bit more room in here. That would have been nicer, but I ultimately think I'm going to go ahead and pick up another trailer. Something that's more maneuverable to get in and out of here. Just so we're not running into this problem. So we've got the rest of our corn unloading. I don't want to hop... we should be able to hop out of the truck. Yeah, we're good. So we've got... Let's see here. We've got 40,000 liters of corn, 55,000 liters of dry corn, 35,000 liters of barley. We've already got the water in here. So let us open up our production. Let us go ahead and change this to where it'll just pop out. And let's fire this bad boy up. And I want to take a quick look at our ingredients here. So we only use 3 barley. So our main ingredient is going to be corn, followed by dry corn. So we're really going to have to ramp up our corn production and start producing some more corn just to keep this thing pretty well stocked up. I'd like this to keep running at all times. I want to kind of compare the cycles per month. Okay, so it does about the same as our Yingling factory. And it doesn't burn through as much ingredients throughout the years as you would think it would. So we're kinda good there. So I think by the time harvest time rolls around, we're really gonna have to load this thing back up. But this is what I'm talking about here. This is almost impossible to get around. With all these cars, it's just kind of a headache. Not to mention backing up this trailer is like almost impossible. Swinger wide, swinger wide. Come on, come on. I know I'm scraping on the building. We got it though. There we go. So this will be pretty much in line with our Yingling factory as far as production goes. So when we come to do a sell-off on beer, we should have a sell-off on whiskey, and that'll be a nice little production that we've got going on here. Now the next question is, what do we invest into next? I've kind of been thinking about it, and I knew this day would come at some point. I just didn't think it would be as soon as it is, but hey, I'm here for it. We're probably gonna do some expanding. I'm thinking about buying the property next to the co-op. I'm gonna make them a deal, or try to talk to them, and maybe make a deal and purchase the land next to them. And we may go ahead and do some expanding there and put in some new businesses. I'm kind of leaning that way. Maybe getting into the meat processing business or side of things. Maybe put in a butcher shop, and then maybe put in another dairy or two to keep up. But I don't know. I'm on the fence about that. I'm just kind of going over ideas and thinking what we could do. And I know I mentioned in the last, I want to say it was the last episode, I was talking about possibly getting rid of the Angus beef and going with dairy cattle. And I was going to replace the barn, but I did some testing on some other maps, and the cow barn that the Angus beef are in can actually be used for dairy cattle. I did not know that because it didn't show the option for milk, but they pop in, or that milk option pops in when you actually put dairy cattle in there. So do we just go all dairy, or do I keep the Angus beef and then we open up a butcher shop, which is a possibility? What do you guys think? What would you guys do? Would you carry on the way we've got it, half Angus, half dairy, and open up a butcher shop, or would you go straight all dairy cow? I'd love to know your guys' opinion. But I am so happy that we are out of debt. That is awesome. I'm very, very stoked about that. Now we can work on grinding to that $7 million mark, so that way we can purchase this right here. What is it? Plot 127. And that opens up all this ground. Like, if we go over here, we've got a big field, open field, that we can actually do a custom field in. And then we have a big lot I think right here where we're at, yeah, right down there, we could put another lot into. We've got quite a few trees that we could go ahead and I'm thinking about possibly getting the mulcher and just go ahead and mulch up all those trees so that way we could start making our own herbicide. Kind of an idea. I don't know. I don't know if we go the expanding route and buy that property next to the co-op and build that out first, or do we grind for the 7 million to buy the other property out? Ideas, ideas, ideas. But I think that's where we're going to go ahead and call it on today's episode. I know next episode we've got a lot going on as well. It's going to be a very, very busy year for us. But I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.